Scary Eire. Eire is the Irish or Gaelic word for Ireland. Yeah, we know all that. Who'd have thunk it? Episode 10. So picture this. You are a paranormal investigator. You've been out on a good investigation. A day or two later, you decide to rest your laurels and listen back to some of the audio you recorded in situ. And you begin to hear
disembodied voices.
And you go, what is that? Well, my friends, these are some of the moments we're going to share on today's Scary Eire. My thank you to all the paranormal investigators who pooled together for Scary Eire to contribute some EVPs for us. If you're a little bit lost as to what an EVP is, essentially what I see here is the premise is that audio recording devices can register otherwise inaudible communications from, big word alert, discarnate entities.
Discarnate entities.
These purported communications have been dubbed electronic voice phenomena, or EVP. I think myself there seems to be two types. That which is where an entity or a spirit appears to interact audibly or vocally with the investigators, makes either normal conversation or snide comments or threats, and it's picked up later in post-production when they're re-listening to the audio. Alternatively, perhaps something is just in the air or on the ether from a long, long time ago, and these investigators are in the right time and the right place to hear it replayed. You're going to have to make your mind up for yourself. Now, what I'm about to do is this. You are going to hear in context the EVP supplied by various paranormal investigators. Then you will hear a little ping like this. When you hear that ping, adjust your ears to listen forensically, for you're going to hear two more repetitions of the EVP in isolation. And the second one will be slightly, very slightly amplified. So that should give you a good opportunity to make up your mind as to what it is exactly you are hearing, be it the investigator's interpretation or indeed your own. This is from Matthew Clark of the Cork Supernatural Society, recorded in a pub called the Poor Relation in Cork City. And it goes back some years. Have a listen.
Are there many of you in the building?
I have to say now, just being straight with you, when I heard that first, I thought, someone is having us on. This is a bit contrived. It sounds exactly what you'd hear on Scooby-Doo, you know, very kind of histrionic drama-like. Just me. However, and it's a big fluorescent however, I'm willing to believe Matthew on this one for the following reasons. First of all, Matthew, what you see is what you get with him. He's a down-to-earth guy. Secondly, on the EVP he supplied me, let me just give you a bit of context. The message he sent to me was, it's best heard on headphones. On a Monday night, we recorded one of the best EVPs we have ever recorded during an investigation of the well-known Cork City bar, The Poor Relation. In this audio clip, you will hear me calling out and asking, are there many of you in the building? Followed by a few seconds of silence, and then a clear, direct response of This voice was not heard at the time by the three men in the room and was only noticed when playing back the audio. Now, those few seconds, by the way, you didn't hear on what I just played you. There were a considerable few seconds between the question being asked and responded to. I speeded it up purely for broadcast reasons. And in retrospect, I could just picture an old fella, as we say in Ireland, hunched over his pint, annoyed at the presence of these three strangers, and saying, just me. Now would yous ever get to hell out? So that delay. Matthew is not a messer. We've spoken to him here. You'll hear him shortly. And you know what? Out of all the paranormal investigators that we've had on over the last 10 episodes, he is the only guy to have reported no activity from Leap Castle. None. He was open and he was honest. Now, if he was into messing around, He would have probably put together a nice little EVP for Leap Castle as well. He didn't. He said, look, it's the nature of what we do. Sometimes we get phenomenon, other times we don't. And we didn't in Leap Castle. He was the odd man out, and he was willing to be, because Matthew is honest. And again, to further embolden the authenticity of what you've just heard, Matthew, the last time I spoke to him, left us with these words.
We would probably be the most sceptical of groups, I think, even though we all believe in it. We've
It's
all had our
healthy.
experiences. Yeah, we are very, very sceptical, and it takes something pretty impressive to make us say that was paranormal.
So, dear listener, does that sound like a man who would engage in fakery?
I think not.
Let's stick with Matthew and the Cork Supernatural Society now for his second EVP of the night. Let's put it in context. This first EVP we caught as a team was all the way back on Halloween night in 2013. This piece of audio was caught on the ground floor of Ballinacariga Castle, County Cork. One of our team can be heard saying, "I am recording again," and directly after this, another voice can clearly be heard. The second voice is not any of the team's and remains unexplained. And Matthew says he personally thinks the voice sounds like it is saying the words, "What about the child?" Listen up.
I'm recording again.
Oh, something heart-rending about that one. Who knows the dark history of Ballinacariga Castle? I'm sure many a child was neglected or worse back in its history. Let's just listen to it again. We're staying now with the Cork Supernatural Society. This is the final EVP that Matthew and his team provided us with, and it was recorded in Camden, Fort Mar. Let's just tell you a little bit about this place. Camden, Fort Mar is internationally recognised as being one of the finest remaining examples of a classical coastal artillery fort in the world. For almost 400 years, the fort played a key role as a strong strategic position for the defence of Ireland, the west coast of England and Wales. 65% of the fort is located underground in a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers. The fort is a prime location to watch ships passing through Cork Harbour, the second largest natural harbour in the world. Camden Fort Mar is in the ancient east and just 20 minutes from the wild Atlantic Way. Here, Matthew gives you the background to what you're about to hear. 2 seconds into this piece, you will hear Paul, member of the team, calling out, "Are you here with us?" And on 6 seconds comes the EVP, which to us sounds like the words, "They are smoking." This was recorded in a tunnel where gunpowder had once been kept, and Jackie, member of the team, had just left the area to have a cigarette. Obviously, smoking would not have been allowed in this area when the fort was occupied due to the risk of explosion. Okay, listen folks, here we go. Sound advice there, perhaps from a spirit. As we all know, smoking is bad for your health, particularly if there are kegs of gunpowder dotted about the place. Thanks to everybody at CSS for those EVPs. Well, now, boys and girls, gather round the smouldering turf fire, for we're about to head out to the west of Ireland. Around the Galway region, to be precise, where our great friends at Paranormal Awakenings Ireland have provided us with some top-class EVPs. Oh, we're going to have a bit of monkey business here now. When I heard it first, this EVP, the hair stood up on me head. But first, our good friend Philip Costello of Paranormal Awakenings Ireland provides the background. The picturesque ruins of the monks' fishing house at Cong, County Mayo, was built sometime between the 15th and 16th centuries and, as the name suggests, was used by the monks of Cong Abbey for fishing. This small house is built right on the river on a platform of stones. There is a trapdoor in the floor leading to the flowing river beneath, where the monks would use a net to catch the fish. Not only were the monks sheltered from the ever-changing weather, but the remains of a fireplace shows that the monks were also kept warm when they fished. It is thought that there was a line strung from the fishing house to a bell in the kitchen of the abbey. With a tug on the line, the cooks would know there would be fish for supper. We have been told of 2 monks who had a fight. One had killed the other and threw him down the fishing hole. However, we are not sure if it was the monk who we heard laughing, or was it something darker. It was only picked up on one night vision camera, although we had several running at the time. This is one of our strangest, and definitely one of our best EVPs to come through.
Is Ronan in danger? Stop. Is Hatney in danger? Stop.
I don't know about you, dear listener, but I just believe we've heard a vocal snapshot of something from medieval times. Remember the investigators, PJ and Philip? They didn't hear this until they came back and were replaying their audio, so they heard nothing. It is spooky. Now, if you listen to it, there are 2 sets of laughing going on. There's one before you hear the investigator say, "Is Ronan in danger? Is Anthony in danger?" And then there's another laugh that comes in after that. I think myself the first round of laughter, and you'll hear it again in a second, it seems to be in concert with a secondary laugher, if you like. And part of me thinks it's female. I listened really closely, and it was almost like a female appreciating the joke the male was chuckling at. Now, it could be an echo as well, but it seems to me on that first bit of laughter, there are 2 people. And the secondary laughter, it's almost in appreciation of whatever the joke is. And to me, it sounds female, but that's just me. These things are subjective. Then it may be repeated in the second round of laughter, but I'm not sure if it's to the same degree. It's really fascinating. To me, it just smacks of authenticity. It's pretty wild. Let's listen again. First set of laughter followed by the second set. I really think this is going to haunt me for some time. More from Paranormal Awakenings Ireland after this.
Yeah, a couple of things over the years, but I've learned, well, I suppose it's not learned, I've just become accustomed to it, and I think it's kind of, it's maybe it's another sense or something. But often when you go into places, you'll get a feeling for the place, and you'll get a feeling of whether or not it's comfortable. And whatever causes that, who knows what causes that, but we have an intuition, we have an inbuilt intuition. I can't describe what it is or where it comes from or the physics of it or the chemistry of it, but it's there, and anybody will tell you to stick with your intuition. If you think something doesn't feel right, then don't hang around.
Superb advice from regular contributor to Scary Eire, David McGlynn, aka The Squire. And don't hang around either. If you've got an Irish paranormal tale to tell, simply email paranormalireland@protonmail.com and it'll be read out for you. Or you get to tell it on air yourself. That's paranormalireland@protonmail.com.
So yeah, please do like and subscribe. It's really important that you do, because otherwise we ain't got a show. And remember, it doesn't have to be an Irish story that you tell us. Just get in touch, paranormalireland@protonmail.com, and we can always have a little international interlude, because here the bottom line is all things
Paranormal.
Speaking of which, just before we hear more EVPs from Philip and PJ, Philip himself, Philip Costello, has an opinion on these things. He sent me a mail that says, I can honestly say, hand on heart, that all EVPs are 10,000% genuine. I personally can't stand fake, made-up BS, nor can PJ. When possible, when we do a live investigation, we try and play back the recording and let people hear what we hear. It can be very fascinating and spooky at the same time, but personally, we haven't come across anything that strong, i.e. the monks, and it's definitely my favourite EVP so far. Again, we're sticking with the good company of PJ and Philip of Paranormal Awakenings Ireland, and this time we hack on to Lackeen Castle, where they recorded an investigation. A little bit of background on the location. Lackeen Castle is a tower house within a bawn built in the 12th century as a Kennedy stronghold, rebuilt in the 16th century. The castle is a national monument in state ownership and is located in the townland of Abbeyville near to Laura in County Tipperary, Ireland. My late father's home county. Okay, so you're about to hear PJ, and I don't know whether he hears it at the time or not, but it sounds like an entity is in need of help.
They're not all crazy like us.
Yeah, that does sound like somebody in need of help, all right. At the time, PJ was walking down either a tunnel or in a dungeon, and I don't think he heard that help me at the time, but it was on replay. Yeah, have another listen. What do you think? One more time. The next EVP supplied by Paranormal Awakenings Ireland concerns Strongford Castle. You're going to hear all about it in just a moment, but PJ heard all about it as well, because an irritated entity took him on and says, sorry if you've got children nearby, put your hands over their delicate little ears. The entity says to PJ, F your kind. Straight to the point. F your kind. So a little bit of background first of all, and then we'll go into the EVP. Stand by. Strongford Castle is a 15th century tower house that has been restored and inhabited by its owners. Strongford Castle, or Caharadangan Castle as it is also known, is located near Crockwell village in Galway and offers a blend of medieval architecture and modern facilities. The castle was built by the Norman de Burgo or Burke family, who were descendants of William the Conqueror. Little history is known about the castle currently, but it has many features that add to its intrigue and mystery, such as vaulted ceilings, a wood-burning stove, a stained glass door, and 2 circular bartizans. Small towers, containing rooms on diagonally opposite corners. The castle's walls are over 6 feet thick at the lower level and thicker still above, making it a formidable fortress in its time. The castle has 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a spectacular great hall, stroke living area that has large windows with countryside views. The master bedroom has beamed ceilings and a mystical shower in a castle turret. The second floor has 2 double rooms and a separate bathroom. Although the castle was once available to rent and stay in, unfortunately, it is no longer available as a holiday home as it is now occupied by its owners. However, you can still admire its beauty and history from the outside or by speaking with the owners. Strongford Castle is one of the hidden gems of Galway and a testament to the rich heritage of Ireland. Okay, don't get impatient. I know you want to hear the EVP, so here it is. Listen out for F Your Kind. John Wayne didn't do swearing, but if he did, I think it would have sounded like...
Mark. Manning.
I have to say a few things odd happened to me when I was compiling these EVPs. Weird little stuff, nothing to write home about, but I will tell you about it at the end of the show. Now, one of the benefits of putting together Scary Eire in the last few weeks is I've gotten to meet new people and make new friends, and one of these great friends has become Jenny Sullivan of Emerald Isle Paranormal. I put out the SOS, "Have you any EVPs, Jenny?" She was happy to share. Earlier on we mentioned the notorious Leap Castle. Here is an EVP from there, and to put it into context, here's the story behind that EVP. And Jenny writes, "This is from Leap Castle. We were sitting in the banquet room. I placed the phone on speaker and a recorder in the conservatory downstairs and went back up to the banquet room with another phone on speaker and called out. I said we were going to sing a nursery rhyme, Ring a Rosie, to which I asked a team member to sing, and he didn't want to. At the end, you will hear one of the little girls who lived and passed away there, Emily or Charlotte, say to team member, David, yes, David." Let's listen now. Just a further bit of background. Emily, if I recall, was a little girl of about 12 years of age who fell from the castle battlements to her death, and Charlotte was another little girl of about the same age, and it's believed she had a deformed leg which was almost twisted backwards, and they reckon she passed away in a famine, not the 1845 one, but one of the many, I think around the early 1600s. Shh, here we go.
Okay, we're going to sing a song for you. We're going to sing Ring of a Rosie. Okay, Dave, take it away. Very good.
Wow, is it just me, but isn't there always something more eerie and wrong when a child is involved? It's just like a child shouldn't really be exposed to any angst or terror or misfortune. And yet, what a polite young lady. Good night, sleep tight, you beautiful little angels, Charlotte and Emily of Leap Castle. And we stay within the environs of Leap Castle with Jenny of Emerald Isle Paranormal for the next EVP she shares. She says, Leap Castle in the banquet room, asking questions from a previous investigation there about a female that was in trouble, and to what I hear a female responding with, "Help, Jenny. Help, Jenny. Help, Jenny." Okay, let's listen to it.
There was a female who was very sad, very scared. Who was very sad. Who was very sad.
Ooh, now that's a hard one, as the bishop said to the actress. But it's there, all right. It coincides directly with when Jenny is speaking. It's there, just barely audible in the background. Again, as I always say, listen forensically.
Who was very sad.
Hear it, it's so ethereal. It's, help, Jenny, help. You can hear it. Listen again.
Who was very sad. Who was very sad.
And we'll slow it down a tad, shall we?
Who was very sad.
Not sure that helped, but listen again. It's definitely there.
Who was very sad.
And again, our next EVP is provided by Jenny Sullivan, who fronts up Emerald Isle Paranormal. She is proactive around particularly the Drogheda area and County Meath, but of course investigates all over the country of Ireland as well. Now, I like Jenny because she's a lovely, easy way about her. The EVP takes place in Millmont Museum. Little bit about it. Drogheda Museum, Millmount in County Louth, has been described as one of the finest town museums in Ireland. With a wealth of historical treasures, it's located in the Great Fort that towers over the town of Drogheda, the gateway to the Boyne Valley. Drogheda Museum, Millmount is one of County Louth's most significant heritage sites, situated on a great mound clearly visible from all parts of the town. The museum is housed within a large fort that played a crucial part in Drogheda's history. As the oldest surviving centre of settlement in the town, the area has a dramatic history and many stories to tell. The whole fort is now the Millmount Cultural Quarter and features craft shops, art galleries, a cafe and artisan food centre. Now, just a proviso on this one. In my own opinion, a lot of this is quite garbled. But getting to the EVP itself, it's quite clear, I think. But bear with the garble at the beginning, and you'll get to the gold. So, Jenny sets the scene. This is one of my favourites. I had left the phone on speaker with a recorder downstairs in the Millmount Museum. I could hear shuffling, etc., through the speaker of the phone. When I went to listen to it, I got a conversation. "Hey, Jenny, can you hear me?" To what I think two men were talking. At one point you will hear one of the guys upstairs where we were calling out to say something. Then it goes back to the kitchen where the two men were talking, looking for my attention. They sound like they were talking to each other, then again say, "Hey, can you hear me? She murdered me." This would match what I know of that area. It probably would need to be played a few times for people to fully understand it. Okay, now the formalities have been dealt with. Get ready. Remember, lots of garble, but listen out for "She murdered me." Oh, did she now? What did she do? Well, that's women for you. My wife regularly threatens me with bodily harm, and my daughters too. Again, what did she do to you in the Millmount Museum? And just one more before we move on. Actually, note to self, one shouldn't be flippant about the treatment of these EVPs, and I'll tell you why before I end the show. As I said earlier, nothing major, but just a few observations. Okay, the next EVP from Jenny, well, I'll let her give you the background. So again, it's the Millmount Museum, and Jenny says she thinks it's a residual of a man, not sure what he is saying, possible, "I want to make me feel," and then laughing. Okay, let's give it a whirl. So, not sure what you make about that one. Well, it was a former British Army establishment, although these guys don't sound British. Now, of course, there were Irish soldiers serving in the British Army, but to me it sounds very modern, almost like hoodies, kind of messing with drugs or something. "I want to make me feel." And I think there's two involved. The initial "I want to make me feel" and then the guy who laughs. So I thought at some stage maybe the place was derelict and, it was a hangout for teenagers. Here's what Jenny had to say about that, courtesy of an Instagram message.
Hiya. Okay, I just got your message there. I'm just saying, I wonder, is it the echoes of teenage druggy types? I don't know. I do know that it was a British Army barracks at one point. And there's a few other ones that I have where you would hear a shouting of an order being given. Residual, definitely residual.
Well, Jenny, I do happen to agree with you. It was definitely residual. However, I feel it's in a modern context. Can't quite get that one out of my head for some reason. I feel this is young people gadding about, but I don't doubt for a minute they weren't present when your team was. To me, this is something recent. It's like a vocal artifact floating on the air. What I'm about to do to your EVP, Jenny, you will never be able to unhear, but I mean it in the best possible way. I've really, really listened to it because I know EVPs are your thing as well. And this is just me, but I believe the first guy says, "I've won 50p," and the other guy laughs at it. Now, it's almost like, you know, one of those scratch cards. And for those of you listening outside of Europe, p is a currency. It's pence, like, you know, or cents. We shortened it to p, 50p. I won 50p. It really sounds like he's saying, like it's two teenagers, they're messing, and he's feigning excitement going, "I won 50p!" And the other guy is laughing because he thinks it's funny. Have a listen. Get it? So rather than "I want to make me feel," it's... Lucky hoodie. Now, your guess is as good as mine. It's totally subjective. Now I want you to re-listen to this with Jenny's interpretation. "I want to make me feel." Oh, Dr. Ciarán O'Keefe, parapsychologist, would be proud of me. That kind of situation is what he and other skeptics thrive on. Totally open to interpretation. Your guess is as good as mine. "I want to make me feel" versus "I won 50p. But there you go.
Not paranormal. Mark Manning is real. Now that's a scary thought.
And again, thanks to Jenny at Emerald Isle Paranormal for those wonderful EVPs. Now, our next and final three come from our old friends over at Ghost Eire Paranormal. You might recall we recently had Anthony and Jessica on the show, telling us all about Phantasm Collective, their project. Eric Hood was roped in to supply me with the EVPs, and the first one is in relation to the now gone but former notorious historic area of Dublin known as Monto. It's located in the inner city of Dublin, just off O'Connell Street. Now, it was rife with deprivation and a huge red light prostitution area. The little part of it this EVP concerns itself with is known as Foley Street. What a small world, because yours truly was a DJ on a pirate station in this exact location way back in the mid-1980s.
But that's another story.
So you're going to hear this EVP, where there used to be a recording studio known as Apple Rock located. Now, way back, the site was believed to be called a smothering den. People and babies were put out of their misery there. If you listen closely to this EVP, it's likely you'll hear screaming, or perhaps a plaintive cry. 3, 2, 1.
Step forward, it's been a long time.
Gadzooks, that would certainly make you stand up on your bicycle pedals and get the hell out of Dodge. Watch out! Coward coming through! But in all seriousness, something as traumatic as what we just described, i.e. children and people being smothered, must surely leave some kind of auditory signature in the atmosphere. On now to EVP number 2 from Ghost Eire Paranormal. And it hails from the Strand Inn in Waterford. It was in the kitchen area of the haunted inn. The name Jack appeared over the locked-off digital sound recorder audio. The heartbeat sound was from a device we use on the night, says Eric, and I think there was a legend of a smuggler named Jack who used to frequent the eastern bays of Ireland. On y va. Yeah, it's just there, isn't it? And as for the heartbeat thing and atmospheric noises like thunderstorms, well, that's Ghost Eire for you. They definitely think outside the box, albeit spirit box. Incidentally, to be precise, Jack Connor. Connor was the smuggler, a.k.a. Jack the Bachelor, native to Wexford, only over the water from Dunmore East. Oh, and as regards the earlier Apple Rock Studios recording, Ghost Eire's merry team were doing a séance at the time that auditory anomaly occurred. And that's nearly it for this 10th edition of Scary Eire. I certainly hope you've enjoyed our EVP session, and of course my sincere thanks to all the paranormal investigators in Ireland who contributed their precious and mysterious EVPs. Last one now from Ghost Eire, and we find ourselves at Governor's Rock. It's an area of woods behind Ross Castle in Killarney, where the copper mines are situated. A female voice speaks in a French tongue. Jen was the only lady present at the time, and she doesn't speak French, and it was not her voice. They were scrying at the time. You know, that's when they look in the mirror kind of stuff. EVP, play on.
Okay, I think we're going to leave it a go because it could get even more spooky.
Oh yes, listen carefully. I will say this only once. Well, maybe twice more. Sure is there, is it not? Definitely je dis, which is French for I say. I say, I say, I say. Je dis, je dis, je dis. Who was that lady? You will never know. There has been no conclusive proof in all our listings of EVPs we spent together today, dear listener, but I hope it's given you food for thought. I think it's definitely drawn the veil a little bit closer. Now, I promised you I would share with you a few small things that happened during the compilation of this EVP special to yours truly, i.e. moi. There's that French again. We've had on y va, je dis, and now moi. What am I like? I'm all over you like Macron was over Trump. God, he can't keep his hands to himself, can he? Le Mans. So, I decided to do my own EVP experiment. And I left this microphone on overnight in the studio. It had about 9 hours uninterrupted footage on it. Now, the microphone I use here is, well, it's a very high-performance professional piece of equipment. It's known as a Neumann TLM 103. Enough boys' toys stuff. All you need to know is it would pick up a mouse peeing on cotton in Georgia in the middle of the night. Did I get any mysterious EVPs? No, I didn't. I got a few mysterious bumps in the night at several hours interval. It must have been a storm or the wind, an aeroplane. You'd hear a kind of every so often. Could have been the cat jumping on the roof or indeed squirrels we've got around here. So I drew a blank. However, a couple of more things. One of Jenny's EVPs, you might remember, was She Murdered Me. Now, when I first listened to that, I could not make that out whatsoever. As a matter of fact, you know the little sting I've been putting in, the little... I couldn't put it in because I couldn't hear what Jenny was hearing. I just couldn't. And I had decided I was just going to play it and people could make of it what they will. When I revisited it a day or two later, I did hear it. Not quite as clear as day, but I heard it. Now, my job is in audio. I listen forensically, as I'm telling you, and I didn't pick it up the first time around. That was a little bit strange, but you've got to just go, well, that was just your neural setup at the time. Fair enough. The other thing that happened was one of the files that Eric Hood from, you've just heard, Ghost Eire Paranormal, sent me. Originally, it wouldn't play. So I said to Eric, look, this is drawn a blank, can you send it again? And he sent it again. And I was able to listen to it. It was the one you've just heard, Governor's Rock. And I heard it, and I sent him a little mail saying, thank you, Eric, I got it this time. A day or two later, I went to edit. So I took the file, went to play it again. It wouldn't play. It just would not play. Now, I'm in radio many years, and I'm in voiceover 11 years. I work with audio all the time. Fair enough, you might get a file that doesn't work. As far as I was concerned, that happened the first time. But to get a file and have it play, and then return to it and not have it play, that has never happened to me before. In fact, I sent Eric another mail saying, you might want to send that again. But in the interim, I returned to it after some hours, and it played again. And you've just heard it. That was bizarre. For a professional like me, I've never heard that happen before. Excuse me, but the bloody thing either plays or it doesn't. Now, finally, the night after I had finished compiling all the EVPs, I had a horrendous sleep. I don't sleep great anyway. I tend to be fitful in my sleep patterns, as my wife will tell you. But I can honestly say to you, and I'm not sure why I'm linking it with the Milmont EVPs. It just felt it was linked to it, and I don't know why. I'm not going to get descriptive, but I had a dream, and it was almost a waking dream, that as I said, I'm not going to get into detail, but I was out for someone's blood. And hey, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I was out to kill someone. And it really felt I was possessed. And the worst thing about it was one of those dreams where you're kind of conscious of having the dream state, so you're partially awake, partially asleep. And for those few minutes or whatever, I genuinely felt my brain had been rewired. And I was, possessed. I'll say no more, because you'll just laugh it off. Those 3 or 4 things did happen during the making of this Scary Eire EVP special. Scary Eire is written, compiled and produced by myself, Mark Manning of Mark Manning Media, in association with Paranormal Radio UK Network. My thanks to them for hosting the show. Get in touch, I need you to help me keep the show on the road. Email paranormalireland@protonmail.com with whatever. And as I always say, take care, 'cause I care. From Ireland, goodbye. And caution you don't get your leg caught in the door of your bicycle.